comrade in evil. Varg. Oh, you know, church burning and shit. Euronymous. Yeah, I forgot about how much of a hellraiser you are. Varg, embarrassed but flattered, doesn't realize he's blushing. As if. I'm nowhere near as evil as you. That suicide picture of your ex-vocalist so fucking brutal. Varg, I couldn't stop thinking about you. Can I come in? Euronymous. Can it wait? It's very late. Yeah, I know. I was just wondering if we could talk about what happened last week. Euronymous. Last week? Yeah, oh, yes. I mean, I meant nothing. We were both drunk as fuck, dude. Varg. Do you really believe that? Or are you just worried about Fenris? Of course not. Of course not. Fenris doesn't own me. Of course. I know that. I'm just worried. You haven't called me since it happened. It shouldn't have happened. It didn't mean anything. So it was all meaningless, you say. Those 3 hours of passionate lovemaking were meaningless, you say. You told me you love me. I do. It's just I don't want to be gay. But you are. Please don't be like this. I know you want to be with me. He grabbed Euro's face and kissed him hard. Euro didn't object and even led him to the bedroom. I'll be back. Now I just need to go to the bathroom. He walked out and Varg lay in his bed stripped off and waited for his lover. Varg's point of view. I lie flat on my back on the bed, my erection jutting out from my lower belly. I have an urgent need to touch myself, but I dare not do it without Master's permission. Still, one quick stroke can't hurt, right? With this thought on my mind, I'd reach down and encircle my throbbing member with my hand and jerking off slowly and gently. Bitch, did I tell you to masturbate? Master's voice booms from the doorway and I drop my hand. I ask you a question, slut! Did I ask you to masturbate? No, Master, but I was so horny. You're a whore. You're always horny. That doesn't give you the right to touch yourself without my permission. You will be punished now. Yes, Master, I whispered, afraid and yet aroused at the same time. Master retreats into the large cupboard in our bedroom and returns with a bag of fun gear, as he likes to call it. There's more pages of this.
What on earth did we just listen to? The Oscar goes to Henry Zebrowski. Powerful performance. Now, what is there is sexual fiction about this stuff?
Of course there is.
Of course.
Of course
Once Upon
there
a
is.
Time in
What do you
Norway
mean, of course
is
there
what
is?
it's called, with Varg Vikernes by Livia Loves Black Metal.
Okay, one time in Norway.
What happened was I went to go search for Varg Vikernes wrote a version, like our Norwegian version of the Turner Diaries, and I went to go look for it to like sort of like, and that's the only thing that popped up when I looked up Varg Vikernes fiction.
I love it. Given his homophobic tendencies, I think it's a powerful way to combat this man.
So after the murder, Varg and Snorri drove all night back to Bergen, listening to Dead Can Dance so as to be as atmospheric and dramatic as possible.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, and once they were back, they returned the video, completing their airtight alibi.
Oh my, I hope they didn't spoil it for the clerk behind the desk, being like, it's Robin Williams the whole time.
No!
Yeah.
No!
Sorry.
Now, the suspicion for the murder initially fell on the Swedes that Euronymous had been feuding with at the time, and Varg fueled this theory, telling police the Swedes were jealous of Norwegian black metal ideology, which was decidedly more evil than the Swedish version.
Okay.
Yeah, of course it is. We just like clocks and chocolate.
Now, after hitting a dead end with Varg, police started grilling some of the black metal hangers-on, specifically a 16-year-old Swedish girl who had briefly lived with Euronymous. She said,
I do not believe that Esther was killed by Swedish Satanists. Most of the Swedes are too cowardly to ever commit a murder. I will not reveal the name of the real killer. The black metal scene will exact its own revenge against him. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a good point. You don't associate Swedes with murder.
not a
you
whole
don't
lot.
do it. No,
Yeah,
very
no,
rare.
not a whole lot. The Norwegians, they
I
have
could
a
see
lot
that.
more. Yeah, well, yeah,
Well,
you
of
got your
course.
Anders Breivik.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Yes, horrible man.
Oh.
87
this
people.
guy. What about Anders?
What about Barb?
Well,
Everybody hates Anders.
Yes, they do.
but while this girl wouldn't roll over on Varg, I suppose thinking about taking revenge herself, she did finger Baird Eithun, a.k.a. Faust, for the murder of Magna Andresen. Faust was arrested a year and a week after the murder and confessed under questioning.
But there was still no evidence other than this young girl and his confession, right?
Yeah, there was no evidence, but his lawyer advised him to confess.
Never confessed. You got to watch the documentary on Netflix. Have you guys seen the confession tapes yet? Very interesting.
It is very good.
interesting.
It's very, very
Yes.
good. I would like to do an episode about false confessions. I think it's really
Yeah,
interesting.
oh, for sure. We definitely should.
Now, after Faust went down, the rest of them fell like dominoes, including Varg, who had stupidly left fingerprints all over the crime scene.
He didn't wear his shooting gloves.
Well, you know why he left fingerprints all over the scene? Was because once he heard that squirting sound, his master applied lube to his 10-inch long, 4-inch thick cock. He also
my
applied a little
goodness.
to my silky smooth shaven crack and pressed one finger inside of me, wriggling it around to loosen me up. I moaned into my gag as master chuckled. "You like being fingered, don't you, slut?" he hissed.
Oh, my.
Unable to respond verbally, I simply gave another muffled moan.
And if you are listening and you are aroused by that, it's okay. You can find it online.
Pressed the huge head of his uncut cock against my hole. Master never was one
I
for
got
being
it, Henry. I
gentle.
can't hear any more of this.
Master gripped my narrow hips
Oh
as he
my
slammed his
goodness.
heavy meat in and out of my asshole.
We've got a sex alert going on over here. It's turning into saucy talk.
No wonder he had no time to clean up the scene.
My good, I guess I get it now. Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of speculation as to why Varg murdered Euronymous. We know Varg says that it was self-defense. Others claim that it was solely over royalties, but that doesn't really make sense either. Because if Varg kills Euronymous, he's not going to get any of the royalties.
Maybe there was money in the house. Did they try to rob the place?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No!
No. Of course, there's not money in the house.
Don't know.
Spent all his money on kebabs and soda.
I'm speculating.
That's the thing. It's like, in the rap world, right, when we originally were doing the series, we talked about the idea of like East Coast versus West Coast. At least those guys had fucking money.
Yes.
Yeah. They were all millionaires fighting each other with armies. They had boys. They had like all crew and guns and all this shit. These are just shitheads.
No money in that.
That like essentially are just outside of living in a dumpster.
Maybe some Eggos in the freezer.
Now, the other theory is that Varg killed Euronymous for dominance over the scene to take his place at the top of the pecking order. Now, personally, I think that last theory is closest, but I think there's a little more to it than that, or a little less, depending on your point of view. Now, this is just speculation. This is my personal opinion. But I think after spending quite a bit of time with the words of Varg Vikernes over the last few weeks, that the most important thing in the world to Varg is how he sees himself.
Right.
That's why he killed Euronymous, for his own ego. He needed to feel powerful. He didn't give a shit about being a leader or gaining dominance over a music scene that he didn't really seem to give a shit about. Even though they're all terrible, Varg is still a man of ideas, and he couldn't stand that a man who, in his opinion, was a poser could even have the possibility of being taken more seriously than him.
Which just shows how much of a loser he is.
Yes.
He's just such a loser. This idea that he needs to live up to what everybody else thinks of him. It's also, there's a part of this concept of like, that's how far you gotta go in the black metal world, where it's like, no, actually, the farthest you gotta go is get a platinum record.
Yeah, that
so
would
what
be-
that means is
that
that
would be nice.
really impressive.
But in Varg's mind, he is living his truth the best, to his best ability, right? Like he thinks he's actually walking the walk. He's talking the talk, and now he's walking the walk.
So you're saying hashtag Yas Queen.
He is yes
To Varg.
queening. I mean, it leads to horrible results and murder, but he did follow through with what he was saying. So I think in his mind, he's telling the truth, or he's living a truthful life.
Above all, Varg is a man of principle.
Yeah.
In a strange,
that is
thin,
what
pale way.
Yeah, he has his principles, he has his ideas, and he sticks to him, and he has stuck to him for his entire fucking life. He has not wavered once in his beliefs.
All right.
So for the murder of Magna Andresen, Faust was sentenced to 14 years in prison. And when
That's it?
That's it. Well, that's the
Oh.
Norwegian justice system.
I don't know
And
about
when he
that.
was later asked if he regretted it, he said,
There's no remorse. I took his life and I paid for it. It's not a big deal, at least not in my opinion.
Because you didn't really pay 14 years. I mean, that's a steal at any murder.
well, Snorri...
That's a low price for a murder.
Snorri Ruch, a.k.a. Blackthorn, was sentenced to 8 years for his part in the murder of Euronymous. And for the murder itself, Varg Vikernes, a.k.a. Count Grishnak, got the maximum sentence in Norway of 21 years in prison.
Wow. And that's also, we mentioned Breivik, Hans Breivik, who killed 87 people. 21 years is all he got as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's just that is the. I think I
That's
really do
crazy.
think Norway is a very principled country.
Yeah,
Yes.
for better or for worse, I would say the when you kill 87 people, 21 is too light. And in this case, well, I guess in this case, we probably have some murderers in this country getting 20, 15 years as well.
Yeah. And it's it's one of those things where it's there's over sentencing and then
Yeah.
there's under sentencing.
Yeah, for sure.
O.J. Simpson's about to have a reality television show.
In October, he is out in October, a perfect month for OJ to be released.
Well,
Halloween.
Well, according to the blind items, OJ is working on a book which is going to tear the Kardashian family apart.
Somebody is Kim's real dad. Is it Kim or is it the which one?
No. It's I believe it's
Is it Chloe?
It's the one that looks exactly like O.J. Simpson.
Is it Chloe?
I think it's Chloe. Yeah.
Oh, my
I think it's
goodness.
Chloe. But for more blind items and celebrity news,
That's
go
it.
listen to page 7 on the Last Podcast Network. So where is Varg today?
Where is Varg? You know what, Marcus? Can I ask? Where is Varg today?
Let me tell you.
Thank you.
Well, it's been 24 years since his conviction. So he's now out of jail and has his very own YouTube channel.
He's a regular PewDiePie.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
A racist.
I honestly,
in other words.
I this is a controversial opinion, but I think technically he is more entertaining than PewDiePie.
Okay, well, it's not that
I would say
controversial. I
by
could
far-
see
by
that
far
for sure.
more.
Man can drone for hours.
Yep, his videos
my
cover
gosh.
everything from the purpose of blonde hair and Thulean myths to other videos with titles like "How big muscles can a man get?"
How big muscles can a man get?
Well, his whole thing is that bodybuilding is a selfish act, and that men should only be strong enough to work in the woods, and that if you have too big of muscles, it eats up too much energy, so it's bad for survival.
not true.
Which then again just sounds like he just wanted to look at muscles.
He also, what
and
did he
that's
do
what
in
it is.
prison for 21 years?
Well, he said he read. He was a scholar. It was essentially a time of scholarship in which I read and I wrote. And that video, "How big muscles can a man get?" It's mostly just a slideshow of old-timey Scandinavian beefcakes, which Varg seems to have quite a large collection of. It's like 20
Interesting.
beefcakes.
Okay.
And it's all from a very specific period of time.
Fascinating.
Now, he posts videos almost every day, sometimes multiple times a day, mostly from the front seat of his car, as most YouTube videos are made for some fucking reason. You can see him playing with swords. You can see him doomsday prepping or replacing the air filter on his Volkswagen bus.
And who doesn't want to see that?
Marcus, what's the name of his role-playing game?
Oh, God, I can't remember. He created...
Look it up real quick. Because he did a role-playing game that is all grinding. He did this D&D nerd thing where he made it so it's all of the least fun parts of the role-playing game, and he made it ultra realistic, where if you need wool, you have to raise sheep, and then you have to roll dice to see if your sheep live, and then you have to and so you do it for hours and hours and hours, and eventually you get to the part where you play out the Norse myths.
I'm interested to hear what an Ignatius Nostradamus, like how a character like that might participate in a role-playing game like this.
Okay, cool. So I got my talisman of protection, good. I've got my talisman of Victoria's gonna let me ask her to the dance this week. I think she's going to. Victoria's the name of a real girl I had a crush on in elementary school.
The role-playing game is called My Farog.
Okay.
Which is just that he didn't even give it a fun name. My Farog just stands for Mythic Fantasy Role-Playing Game. Yeah.
He's very literal.
He says, the rules are designed to make sense and to give the players the ability to immerse themselves in Thula, a highly credible fantasy world similar to the European classical antiquity, some places touching into the Viking Age or the Bronze Age, but yet different. In Thula, sorcery and ancient deities are real, and the world is inhabited by not only humans, but also elves, nymphs, dwarves, ettins, and trolls, as well as other creatures.
Honestly, sounds kind of fun.
It is a 161-page core rule book.
Oh my, you have to read 160 pages of rules? What kind of world is this?
It is a pain in
No
the
kidding.
ass. I was just looking at it. I was like, there's just so much bullshit in this.
And for nothing. All right.
Yeah, well, not for nothing, for fun.
Yeah, but who can you talk to about it other than the people that have read 160 pages of rules?
Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, a lot of role-playing game books are they get about that thick.
It's lonely.
They get pretty thick. No, it's not lonely. You play it with friends.
But you
it's
can-
the opposite
Yes.
of lonely.
Okay.
No, it's
all right.
actually it has a pretty big YouTube group,
Oh,
like a
okay.
community.
So there is a
There's like
community
60 to 70 people that get together and they play the games and they record it over YouTube and they hang out. And that's and also Varg, if you do get into the game, Varg is a direct person you can talk to. And he'll talk at you on YouTube and he'll get into talking about variances of the game because he's constantly pushing his game.
Strange stuff.
Now, we would play some excerpts from Varg's videos, but they are extremely boring, much like Burzum's new albums, which are pretty much just new age music for goths that borders on self-parody.
Ah.
Now, as far as crime in the black metal scene goes, it definitely did not end with the conviction of Varg Vikernes. It would take a whole other episode for us to cover even a fraction of these other crimes, but we definitely wanted to give an honorable mention to a man named Gal.
Yeah.
Now, Gal, lead singer of the black metal band Gorgoroth,
Which is
was
awesome.
arrested. Yeah, which is fucking great. It's one of those Lord of the Rings references.
Yes.
But fucking awesome. He was arrested in 2004 for assaulting a dude who showed up drunk and belligerent to a party at Gal's house. Now, allegedly, Gal tied him up, tortured him for hours, and collected his blood in a cup to minimize the mess.
My goodness.
Now, in his own defense, Gal said,
As I always say, when people cross my line and I let them know where my line is, many steps before they cross it, and they still choose to cross it, then I will be the one to decide what their punishment will be. And it is every single time we are playing Hungry Hungry Hippos. And
Oh my goodness. Those hippos are hungry. Well, he tells the guys not to cross the line. The guy crossed the line. He knew where the line was.
Yeah, he knew exactly where the-
This guy would be a strong president.
oh yeah, Gal is known to be like the scary one in the black metal
He
scene.
made a red line and someone crossed it.
He looks fucking terrifying.
I believe it.
Big dude, long hair, like his corpse paint is fucking on point.
He's
He's got
terrifying.
awesome nail-covered armbands, and he's also a fucking great artist.
Okay.
Like Gal he's a very interesting character. He also allegedly beat a guy half to death backstage at a concert for making homophobic remarks, as Gal is one of the few openly gay dudes in the black metal scene.
Principled.
But Gal claims that nobody said anything to him directly.
He heard it.
I will suck dick so evilly, I will suck the devil's dick and make the devil come, because there's nothing more fucking metal than sucking the devil's dick so well that he comes in under 3 minutes, and I'll do it. Time me.
2.5 minutes. Wow, 2.5 minutes. Under 3 minutes.
I will say I wish the devil had warned me before he ejaculated. It's simply polite to do.
And that's the day the devil died.
Now, in other news, not 2 weeks ago, right here in America, the Polish death metal band Decapitated were arrested on suspicion of kidnapping a fan, although very few details have been released about that one just yet.
I'm not trying to get into all that Polish death metal.
No.
That's intense stuff.
I was also trying to look up famous Polish warriors, because Norway has all these famous warriors, and I believe there's one called the Hathars, and they just wear big hats. And it's bad. It's bad.
Well, you're a Polish man, so I'd imagine you wanted to look into your
My heritage,
ancestry a bit.
my family.
Yep.
What'd you find?
Not a lot.
And while it may not be a crime, the band Stalag have used actual criminals in their recordings. One of their members works part-time in a mental institution and was able to convince the administration to let him borrow patients to sing on one of their albums under the guise of Primal Scream therapy.
Very interesting.
It's just nice with Stalag is that they actually got the patient's permission to use their screaming, because it was like they were already screaming.
Yeah, why not use it?
Which is nice. Yeah.
Put a microphone in there.
Yeah, one of the 7 vocalists they used had been institutionalized from the age of 16 for murdering his mother by stabbing her over 30 times.
Not good.
And another patient almost killed another patient during the recordings, which is supposedly captured on the album.
Jesus. Oh, my goodness.
It didn't happen, though.
Okay,
pretty
thank God
metal.
it didn't happen.
Now, here is a sample of Stalag's album, Project Misanthropia, recorded in an abandoned chapel.
You can really snap your fingers to it.
I don't know how to dance to it.
Do you hear it?
The people screaming?
Do you hear
It sounds like hell. Yeah.
You should listen to the whole thing. It's like 35 minutes long.
That 35 minutes of that?
Yeah, it's an album.
Yeah, dude.
I mean,
That's a short album, too.
I feel like it's like when you go into the into water that's room temperature. At some point, you don't even realize that you're in water because that's already what my brain sounds like. That's fine.
And that's it.
Wow, there it is, Norwegian black metal.
That's it.
1, 2, and 3
One,
parts.
2, and 3. And
Good
as
job.
a nice epilogue, Fenris from Darkthrone that we've mentioned a few times. You know what he does today?
What?
Mailman.
There it is.
And he loves it.
I love mailmen.
He still does music, of course, but yeah, he just got a day job as a mailman because he just loves delivering the mail.
There it
Fenris,
is.
you know, despite the bad shit that he did in his past, he got over it, and he's an all-around pretty good dude. He's known as like the cool dude in the black metal.
Yeah,
scene.
he's got a sense of humor. It's kind of nice. I'm excited that we covered so much that we got to cover, and I'm glad that the black metal scene still got it.
There it is.
Yeah, this says still Watane's still out there throwing goat's blood on everyone, making people puke.
Yep, the good stuff. They're doing all good things.
The good stuff, man. Mayhem's still out there
Yeah,
doing
man.
their shit.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, and
it's kind
apparently,
of
like
cool.
their new vocalist is like pretty fucking great. He toured with Sun and did a lot of really cool shit. So yeah, the black metal scene still going strong to this day.
There it is. All right, everyone. Let's see. We are in Toronto. We're in Pittsburgh.
We're in Toronto this Friday. We're in Toronto this Friday, September 22nd. There are tickets available for that. You can go to our website, lastpodcastontheleft.com, to get tickets for that. Or of course, we're coming to LA soon. We're going to be coming to Omaha, Nebraska.
That's it.
On November 18th, and we've got one other show this year that we're going to be announcing real soon, but it's a place that people have been asking us to come back to for a long time. So
That's
we're going to be announcing that
Very
soon.
excited about that.
Two things. So for the LA show, we're gonna have a costume contest. So
Yeah.
make sure you guys show up full gear. We're doing this shit. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's Halloween. Let's fucking bust it out if you want to wear a costume. And second of all,
If you want to, you don't have to though.
yeah, but I always like an excuse to wear a costume.
I know you do.
And then September 29th, Friday at 11 p.m. at the People's Improv Theater in New York City. I will be in town. We're doing a Murderfish show. I guess it's going to be the last one. I don't know when if we'll ever do it ever again. So if you want to come out to see a Murderfish show, come and hang out. And you're in the New York City area, September 29th, 11 p.m.
There it is, September 29th, the People's Improv Theater. Great place. Keep on supporting all the shows here on the Last Podcast Network. Abe Brilliant's Top Hat for Everything Political, page 7, that was as referenced in the show. Sex and Other Human Activities, Movie Signs with the Mads, Wizard and the Bruiser, all the great shows here. Make sure to go check them out and rate and review them on iTunes. And let's get all these shows to number 1 because you guys deserve to be only listening to the best, and you have been for years. So thank you so much.
And I also want to thank Hungry Ghost Press for sending a big box of merch. Their shit is amazing. They sent a bunch of posters, a lot of T-shirts, like some of them, like that. I love your T-shirt so much. I fucking love Hungry Ghost Press. So thank you very much. And also want to thank Laughing Lion Dry Bags
Okay.
for sending us a bunch of dry bags.
They're just bags
What are
that are
dry
dry.
bags?
They're bags that you can put stuff in, and it keeps them dry.
I love
I
it.
do not know why they. It's for kayaking and
We're an
rafting
outdoors
and-
crowd. Look at
You're
all of us.
literally
Look at
trying
the three
to.
of us. We are water people.
I love being out
get
there.
us to do outdoor activities.
I'm
They're
gonna
trying to
start
help
doing
us.
it. I would love to see me
follow
fit
us-
in a kayak. Good
Follow
lord.
us on Twitter at Henry Loves You, at Marcus Parks, at Ben Kissel. Follow us on Instagram at Dr. Fantasty, at Marcus Parks, at Ben Kissel, the number 1.
There it
and
is.
follow us on all of the bullshits at LP on the left.
There you go. Hail yourselves, everyone.
Hail Satan!
Elgin.
Hail me.
And let's do a Magustalations.
Magustalations.
Hey guys, don't kill somebody, just make an album.
Make
You know
music.
what I mean? Just make albums.
Make an album.
There's no place to escape to.
This is the last podcast
On the left. That's when the cannibalism started.
What was that?
Yeah,
Yeah, we're an hour 44 of Twitter sadness, which immediately turns to self-promotion.
But I also literally got the news right before I was walking into a big network read for A to Z. So I was literally walking down the hallway to go be a chuckle fuck for the big brass at NBC, and someone's just like, "Hey, Robin Williams committed suicide." And we're like, "Fuck."
I was the first one to message all the friends. by the way.
he broke it to
Thank
me.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Ben.
No
Thank you so
problem.
much. And it was from the Jason Voorhees Twitter account.
No, that's not where I found out about it, but I did see that Jason Voorhees mentioned it, and I thought that was maybe Jason could have let that one go.
Yeah.
But it was kind of sweet.
It was.
I loved him in Aladdin. Also was asked on Twitter if I could include more choking and sucking on the podcast.
Oh, okay.
I think it's for masturbation. And I'll
Yeah.
have you know, you're naughty, and you shouldn't be masturbating to this. Ew, that's gross, unless you're a lady. And
No, people like
flick
to
it all day long.
People like to masturbate to you. You're on that website, Bear Huggers or Bear Lovers or
Chubbarama.
Chubbarama. Chubbarama. So, ladies and gentlemen, go to chubbarama.com and leave the finest reviews for your one and only Hong Kong Henry Zabrowski. Let everyone know you like the way he looks.
Everybody can jerk off to me.
Usually, I have a lot of people jacking off to my voice, but I feel like people are actually jacking off to your body, Henry.
Yeah.
Isn't that strange?
What do you mean strange? I think it's different and unique. I think if you find me sexually attractive, you're probably a cool person.
Yeah. I'm sure they're into cake farts and stuff like that.
Who is it?
Yeah, exactly. I think I'm going to get into it, by the way. Anyway, welcome to the show. That's Marcus Parks. I'm Ben Kissel. Of course, we're joined from beautiful Los Angeles
Hi, my name's Ted Kaczynski.
by Ted Kaczynski himself. I had no idea you were on the line.
From the Supermax prison in Colorado.
Yes, it's good to be here, and I gotta say, I went to the commissary and I said, "Do you have the trident that I ordered?" And they said no, and I will have my revenge.
I agree with you, Ted. You got to have nice smelling breath when you're in prison, so when you're violently accosted in the showers, everyone also has a good time.
It seems my natural spoiled milk smell seems to keep the men from me.
Really? So you've actually this is kind of interesting. Like like a skunk?
Yeah.
Or other animals that exude toxins and smells that are so unlikable that someone won't even kill them.
But Ben, doesn't a skunk also deserve some love?
I agree.
From
Doesn't
other
a
skunks.
skunk deserve a wife? A skunk wife? Well, I guess I'll just have to go through with this stinky old pillow of mine I've been rubbing my dookies on so it can smell like me.
You've been rubbing your dookies on your prison pillow.
Yeah.
Well, Ted, you're a brilliant mind, and I'm sure all the mathematical equations that you've written in Dookie on the walls completely make sense. And you're like Goodwill Hunting. Speaking of Mr. Robin Williams,
Yeah,
what's the fella that Matt Damon played? Whatever his name is, Will, I guess.
I have to definitely say, that's the first time I've heard that comparison.
All right, let's continue on. Ted Kaczynski.
Man, I spent a while reading his manifesto this morning.
Yeah.
What a fucking crybaby nerd.
They always are. He's like a BTK type.
He's got a couple of good points. We're going to get into a...
Okay.
I'm fine with the philosophy.
No,
You know what I mean? I'm
yeah.
fine
The
with
philosophy's good. I enjoyed the philosophy quite a bit.
Except for that
at
he gets a
times.
little racist.
Well,
up top.
I mean, Anders Breivik did copy and paste very large sections of the Unabomber manifesto after he killed those 77 kids, except he replaced the term leftist with multiculturalists and also cultural Marxists.
And as we discussed before, Andrew Breivik, he now is in an Oslo prison, and he has paid friends because they don't want him to get sad. I'm sure Mr. Kaczynski. Ted, as a matter of fact, do you have any paid friends in prison? Is anybody hanging out with you at all, or?
Let's just say I'm difficult to be around. But what I've done is I'm getting really good at toilet wine. So
You're making your own fine vintage, huh?
if people want to come by old Kaczynski's place, I got a whole bunch of Merlot that's been stewing around in my butt sink.
That's
No
what
one
you call
will
it.
come.
A toilet is now called a butt sink from here on out.
No one will come and hang out with me.
So Kaczynski just got nicknamed the Unabomber, the Universities and Airlines Bomber. Because
Yes.
where was the first university bomb at?
The first one was at Santa Barbara, I
and
believe.
and then
Santa
American
Barbara's
Airlines.
beautiful this time of year, too. It's so nice up there.
Hell, Henry, you can just hop in a car and head on up there.
I couldn't I? Or a trolley. Or
Yeah.
a bus.
I think we should just
man, California's beautiful.
stay right where you are so you have an alibi for this evening. I think you're dangerous when you're isolated and lonely in Los Angeles.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking at a video view right now, and I can see the sun shining in through the window, and even the sun is depressing in Los Angeles.
You know why? Because it doesn't fucking stop.
It works
It's like
too
God
hard.
is always looking for your secrets. The sun gets in your crevices.
Well, what happens in the dark of New York will be shown in the lights of L.A.
I will have my revenge.
Yes, you will. All right, let's get Unabomber.
Unabomber. So, when we left off, Ted Kaczynski, he had just made the headlines for the very first time by bombing American Airlines Flight 444. Was not done with the airline industry just yet. He's one thing that we'll start seeing now that he's starting to, like, I guess, get into his groove. There are going to be very long stretches in between attacks with Ted Kaczynski. There's going to be stretches.
Apparently, he was taking a lot of downtime to work on his ribbon dancing for the Olympics.
I heard that.
When he was working on his ribbon dancing technique, again, he went to the qualifying rounds to one of the specific breaks, and he didn't get it because he smelled like dog shit, and they said that would ruin the Olympic Village. And again, another reason Ted Kaczynski was looking for revenge.
Is it true that he shoved the ribbon up his own butthole and tried to lit it on fire and lit it on fire, and then he called himself the first human bomb?
Yeah, yes. He also went by the this big stinky yo-yo.
Well, he was not done with the airlines. 2 years later, after American Airlines 444, in June of 1980, he sent a letter and a book to the president of United Airlines, Mr. Percy Wood, and the note that he sent along with it, he said, "Dear Mr. Wood, I am sending copies of Ice Brothers by Sloan Wilson to a
Which
number
sounds
of
like a Wayans Brothers snow comedy.
to a number of prominent people in the Chicago area because I believe this book should be read by all who make important decisions affecting the public welfare."
So he's just an uncle. He's just a bad uncle, but he has no nephews or nieces to spread on his cool books that he thinks
He's
will
a
educate
smelly
them.
Oprah.
A smelly Oprah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
So what actually was inside the book was a ingenious little bomb. When you opened up the book exploded. Tiny metal and wooden fragments exploded in this guy's face. He had damage to his hands, his face, in his thigh. There was a huge chunk of metal lodged right in there.
This reminds me of those talking cards that Hallmark sells now. When you open it and it's like over the hill and it's like a big fat chick on a beach, and then it just, you open it up and she's like, "Happy birthday, you old bitch, you old bastard, your balls are all wrinkly and strange. Happy birthday, yeah."
It's my birthday. What are you insulting me with these cards?
So he was just experimenting with that, but his birthday gift was a bomb.
A big
You know,
bomb.
but technically, a lot of these bombs that Ted Kaczynski set out just kind of sound like Looney Tunes pranks.
Oh, yeah. There's going to be a lot of Looney Tunes pranks coming up here pretty soon. He was definitely a prankster. Well, this is the point when Postal Inspector Tony Muljot
Bad
shows...
name.
So I think I want to go into medicine. What's your last name? Mulgot?
No,
you're
no,
gonna
no,
you're gonna
no,
be more more postal work.
You're a mailman. That's
Yeah.
a mailman's name.
And interesting fact about Tony Muljot, there was a biopic made of him for the USA Network in 1996 in which Muljot was portrayed by Dean Stockwell.
Really?
I love Dean Stockwell.
Yes, of Blue Velvet, Quantum Leap, Battlestar Galactica.
There is
Handsome
no doubt.
guy.
No
Cool
doubt-
actor.
No doubt in my mind, now knowing that piece of information, 1995 USA Network, the only reason that network stayed on air is because of Lorenzo Lamas. That show was the only show that mattered.
Silk Stocking.
Renegade.
He was tortured into being handsome. We know this story.
Yeah.
So Tony Muljot, he was the one that started putting a lot of the wood clues together. He noticed that in all of these bombings, there was always wood involved. There was wood pieces. There was a wooden box. In this bombing, the letter was addressed to Mr. Wood. The publisher of the book was Arbor House, whose logo was also a leaf. The phony return address was Ravenswood Street.
Cool.
So he did have a sense of humor.
He
Yes.
did, yeah.
Is
I mean,
it-
it does sound like all like locations from like a Fear Street novel. You know what I mean?
Ravenswood Street.
Ravenswood Street, where the babysitters are terrified.
So this is also when he starts putting his own little signature on all of the bombs. They found 2 initials punched onto the bomb, FC.
Okay.
And they found out later that FC stood for Freedom Club.
It is kind of fun.
But in order for it to be a club, there has to be more than one person in a
This
shed.
is how sad and lonely Ted Kaczynski
Yeah.
was. Even the manifesto is from the point of view of a group. He had
Right.
to make up his own. He said he wanted to be a hermit, but no, he wanted friends. He wanted to have like a Winnie the Pooh type scenario with a bunch of friends.
Right.
And he was Piglet, and he had a funny bouncy tiger friend, and a soft bear friend, and a little boy friend, and he couldn't get it together. And speaking of the wood used in this whole process, like once Muljat, once he figured out like the wood being used, where they started like kind of like pinging out like, well, one thing that we now know about him is that he is a woodworker. Like he obviously he's got some kind of woodworking skill, and apparently a lot of it was honed because he had a pen pal in Mexico. Did you read about this?
No.
Where he had a friend in Mexico that he would write in Mexico to this farmer that he somehow knew. That he was just like, in perfect Spanish, was just like, and one day we will overtopple our governments, and the mountains will be free, and the cactus will be free. And and the Mexican guy's like, who is sending me letter? Why is he sending me letter? But so what Ted Kaczynski got known for is these wooden cylinders that all the bombs were put inside of, right? Because he also made one for his own fucking mother, which is a bad present for your mother.
I mean,
But
it's nice to get her something, though.
Yeah.
it is,
Yeah.
He severed ties quickly after. But he sent him a wood tube that just said Montanari sempre libere, which meant mountain men are always free.
That's kind of fun. It's a fun
Kind of
message
nerdy
to...
and stupid.
Oh, yeah. Mountain men are always free. I agree with him.
So 1980 comes around after the president of, and that's what's amazing. He got to the president of United Airlines.
Right.
That's how far this guy could reach. So they
was there this is obviously before any major terrorist activities occurred on a plane, right? This is even before like Lockerbie and all that stuff. I feel like everyone was just kind of taking it easy, living that Hawaiian life, running airlines and stuff.
America, nothing was going on. It wasn't like there were roving gangs and gas shortages. Jimmy Carter being a fucking flip flopper.
Yeah, but even despite all that, the airlines were just like, oh, everything's just fine here. Dare I say, hunky dory.
Well, I remember when you could be able to like walk your grandmother onto the plane and then
Yeah.
walk into the cockpit and shake the pilot's hands, and then sometimes they'll let you fly it. I remember when I was a kid, you just go in the cockpit and the pilot, he kind of smelled like booze, but he was like, "Hey, pop up on my lap," and I popped up on his lap, and then what he did, he put his arms around my lower waist like it was a seatbelt, and he's like, "You take the control, you take the damn control."
You were
And
molested.
I flew the plane for 45 minutes.
Really?
And I was like, "This is you just can't do it anymore in this post 9/11 world." You know?
Well, yeah. I mean, did you fit in the cockpit comfortably, or did you find it to be a tight squeeze, or?
It had like a smoking chair, and there was a game. They had been playing Monopoly for hours, and there was just some asleep woman in a lawn chair in there.
Interesting.
Very different times back then.
Yeah. I think you just kind of screwed a wheel to the wall in your bedroom.
Yes.
And you just kind of turned that a little. Yeah,
And I walked in one of my father's stag parties to the police station.
Yeah. That's fun though.
So 1980, the FBI's Behavioral Sciences Unit comes on board. The Behavioral Sciences Unit was still fairly new at this time, but these people were extremely good at what they did. There are a ton of great books. There's Manhunter, there's Between Good and Evil. Read up on the Behavioral Sciences Unit. But they put forth a profile on this guy, and this is very early on. They've only got a few bombings so far, but their initial profile fucking nails Kaczynski.
They got it, huh?
They said he was an above average. He had above average intelligence. He had connections to academia. That he was kind of a neo-Luddite, where he just hated technology. And they had this guy absolutely nail. But 3 years
literally,
later,
I was watching this doc, and one of the FBI analysts literally was just like, and as soon as we saw the first bomb, we knew like we had a nerd in our hands. He was just some kind of nerd. It was just like amazing. I was like, yeah.
Sounds like an OK Cupid situation. They just described the man that they loved, and they found him.
Yeah, but they were describing Paul Bunyan, but what they got was a Teddy fucking Kaczynski.
Well, yeah, I mean, everyone wants their nerd to still look like a jock.
yeah.
That's most important.
Yeah, at the end of the day.
So this goes on for a couple years, and the BSU, they have their profile. This is what they're working with. This is who they're looking for. But other factions in the FBI decided that this was a dead end. This wasn't the guy they were looking for. They were looking instead for a blue-collar airplane mechanic.
Oh, yeah,
and what was the motive? What was the reason for that? So they were thinking workplace violence?
They were thinking that, it's that he hated airlines,
Right.
but he also hated universities for some reason.
Right. I'll tell you one thing.
He was afraid of planes, and he couldn't read.
So this is also when they put forth in 1983, they set up a 1-800 hotline for the Unabomb Task Force, and they also put out a $1 million reward for anybody who happens to have any information leading to the arrest of the Unabomber.
I like the idea of somebody calling up the 1-800 hotline, but they forgot to hit the 9 instead of the 8. They were looking for a porno thing. And it was like, yeah. Oh, yeah, what am I wearing? Yeah, hood. Yeah, I love that hoodie.
Yeah,
tell me.
aviator
Oh, yeah,
glasses,
yeah, you got a beard. You smell bad. Yeah, keep on going.
Or I also
Are you jacking off right now, sir?
This is also a really good new way for jocks to get at nerds, is to call them up to the Unabomber hotline and have the police come and pick them up in the middle of school. They'll probably pee their pants and everybody will laugh.
Yeah, and then they'll smell like human feces, and everyone will know it's them.
So the next bomb is mailed. He gets back to professors. He mails it to Professor Patrick Fisher at Vanderbilt. And this is just extraordinary bad luck that this bomb went off at this certain place because the teacher that was supposed to go to the professor he was supposed to go to, he was in Puerto Rico at the time.
The teacher was in Puerto Rico.
Fisher was in Puerto Rico, so his secretary was in charge of opening all of the mail, and
yeah, a woman doing all the work again.
So the bomb explodes. It injures her face. It injures her arms. But here's what the bad luck was all about: is that the bomb had been mailed using canceled and insufficient postage. It never should have got there in the first place. But apparently the post guy felt like